All right, we are live. All right, can you see me now? Sorry about the little snafu that we had there. Let me reach out to Kevin. I realize this is terribly boring. Let him know that we're live now and we're trying this out for the very first time. Field Guide to DIY is live. So anyway, welcome, doers. We're glad you're here. You're doers because you do it yourself. And I too am a doer. I like to do it myself for a couple reasons, and I want to talk about that. I want to get into that this morning. My name is Eddie Field. Let's get that out of the way. And this is Field Guide to DIY. It is really my name, but when somebody suggested, hey, you're doing a YouTube channel, I got an idea for a YouTube title. And so I called it Field Guide to DIY because they recommended that. But it just made sense because years ago, I was taking a group on the Appalachian Trail. And so I went to the library and I went to look for books on hiking and specifically the AT. So I checked out, I think I checked like 6 or 8 books from the Northern Virginia Library, and they were all called Field Guide. And so within the Field Guide to the Appalachian Trail, Appalachian Trail, however you pronounce it, the AT, you would have subjects like what gear to have with you, how to prepare for it, what to expect, what to avoid, dangers you might encounter. And so the more I thought about those field guides that I was preparing to hike the AT, I started thinking, well, I want to give advice or direction to do-it-yourselfers. Sounded like Jeff Goldblum there for a second. Direction? And so, hold on one second. Kevin's just pinging me here. Look at that. How about that? We're live. How cool is that? So, giving you direction as a do-it-yourselfer, much the same way that do-it-yourselfers had I'm just going to work these kinks out. I've proven that it's possible. I've proven that it's doable. I got to clean up around the shop, but look at that. Hey, yes, Kevin, we're live. Like the Field Guide to the Appalachian Trail told me what to avoid and what to prepare for, what gear to have, I want to give you direction to help you save time and money by you doing it yourself, whether it be home repair, home improvement, or woodworking. That's the whole basis of the channel. Now, why did I get into do-it-yourself? Well, my dad was a general contractor before he passed. And his whole life, or my whole life, there's a meme that says, you think you could hurt my feelings? I had to hold the flashlight for my dad. So, when your dad is a general contractor and you have to hold the flashlight for him, you get some very tough skin. You get some very thick skin. So my dad was a general contractor, and I would, like I said, hold the flashlight for him. We lived in Long Island, New York, and when I was a kid, 7 years old, we decided we're going to finish the basement because my dad had that experience. And so he did it himself, and I was down there at 7 years old helping him with wiring, nailing in the paneling. He moved the staircase at a 90 degree because it used to go along the wall, and he took it sideways so it went underneath the kitchen and opened up the living room a lot more. So that was just an experience that I draw back on. And years later, I was looking for a job, and my dad hired me at his shop. Now my dad didn't own the shop. My dad hired me at the shop. So what happened was he approached the shop owner, Charlie, and said, listen, Eddie, I want to give Eddie some experience in working and earning a buck. And so I would like for him to, can he work here at the shop? And Charlie said, well, yeah, but we don't have payroll for it. He said, don't worry about that. I'll pay him. So my dad paid me for me going to work with him out of his own paycheck. And so what would happen is he would go to the bank and cash his paycheck and give me cash out of that for that experience. I didn't know this. I thought I was being paid by Designer Cabinets. I was not. I was being paid by Eddie Field Sr. So anyway, and later on, I got really employed by Designer Cabinets and put on the payroll there as a mica man. And I would go with Dad to these installs. And Dad was a master carpenter, general contractor, as well as electrician. And what we would do is I would go with him on these installs. And these installs later appeared in Architectural Digest. And they were the beautiful, beautiful pieces of work that my dad did. And so that's one of the reasons that I do what I do, is because I take pride in my work. My dad carried around, he had a t-shirt, all of his t-shirts had a pocket on them. And in the pocket, he had toothpicks for after lunch, but he also had a square 1 inch by 1 inch piece of Formica. I hated that piece of Formica. Formica is like a laminate that you glue onto countertops back in the day. And that piece of Formica was our tolerance. So when you do design or manufacturing, there's a tolerance. That's a level of imperfection that you're allowed. So what he would do is when we would install a countertop and push it up against the wall, he would take out that piece of Formica. Oh, that piece of Formica, and reach in there. And if it could fit in there, that was okay. But if it was sloppy in there, we had to unscrew it, figure out how it's going to get tighter to the wall, and then screw it in again. Install it again. And I'm like, I hate that piece of Formica. But that's the craftsmanship that he learned. My dad started in a cabinet shop in Rockefeller Center in Manhattan. He needed a job. He was 16 years old, and he went in because he just wanted to find out if they needed work, if they needed help. So he went in, walked in, and he said, "Do you need help?" And there was a old German gentleman by the name of Max. And Dad would talk about Max all the time because Max taught my dad craftsmanship and to take pride in your work. Even if you were paid an hourly wage, Max would do all the offices for all the big shots in Rockefeller Center. And these were beautiful hardwood offices, bookshelves, desks, everything. And Max would take pride in his work, even though he's getting paid, comparatively speaking to the big shots, pennies. So Max taught Ed Field to take pride in his work, and that passed on to me. So I don't have that attention to detail that my dad did, but I think I would make Dad proud. So I take pride in my work. And another reason is I'm cheap. I can't help it. I'm cheap. I was born that way. A lot of folks ask me, were you a depression baby? You're too young to be a depression baby, but I have a lot of those tendencies about being cheap and frugal and skimping because I was the son of a general contractor. When you're a general contractor in construction, it's feast or famine. And so as a result, we starved and sometimes we had steaks. So I learned to be real cheap and to make the most out of everything that came our way. I'm a bit of a hoarder because you never know when you take something apart or you replace something, if you're going to ever need that again. So when you see drawer bins over here or over here of hardware. That's just bolts and nuts that I've collected over the years. It looks kind of like a Ace Hardware in here because of the nuts and bolts. But when I have it, when I need it, I just go to the nut drawer, or I go to the washer drawer, or I go to the bolt drawer, and I see, okay, do I have it? So it saves me a trip. So I'm a bit of a hoarder. Don't throw stuff away. And so that cheapness has permeated into that as well. So when we do home repair, home improvement projects here around the house, I like showing it off. But what I do is I hope it inspires my friends like Kevin, like Mark, like Ron, to try it themselves. A buddy of mine who lived in the area has now moved to the mountains, Ron. He's decided to do a hidden bookcase doorway because I have a hidden bookcase doorway. So it's just neat when I help inspire folks. And so I started the YouTube channel much at my friend Kevin's nagging encouragement. And so I started the channel and never really expecting the comments that I get. Thank you so much, Field Guide to DIY. I'm a 67-year-old widow. What? I never thought I could do this after my husband passed, but thanks to your help, I can now do this myself. Goodness. Forget AdSense and forget monetization of the channel. That's huge. That's so inspiring. And so I want to do that for you. That's the goal of the channel. So we'll be going through tips and tricks, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments section of the video or drop them in the chat when we're live, because I want to give you help, assistance, and direction on those projects that help you do it yourself. A word of caution. Some things I don't do myself. Some things require a permit, because if you want to have a resale of a house, you want to protect yourself. You want to protect the investment. And you also want to help protect your home, especially if you're sleeping in it. You don't want to have an electrical fire, for example. So some things I just encourage people, listen. There are some instances where you're going to have to hire a general contractor, a contractor, or at least a handyman. Handyman is not gender specific. When I use the term handyman, there are some master handyman who are female. I didn't say that right, but you get the gist. April Wilkerson, for example. You see her on YouTube and you see her on TV. She has design taste as well as creativity, but she also knows the code and how to do it right. And there are thousands, I would guess, of ladies who are in the industry who, like her, do it well and do it correctly. So when I say handyman, I'm not just talking about guys. All right. And so you may have to hire these folks to get it done right, to protect yourself, to protect your investment, resale on down the road. There's a show that we watch on HGTV called Help, I Wrecked My House. And what she does is she travels around and she sees people who tried to do it themselves and made a mess of the situation. I want to encourage you not to make the mistake that others have made and others are making in order to get on that show. I want you to do it correctly. I want you to do the research, but I also want you to know your limitations. So there are some things, like my buddy Kevin says, I'm not built that way. And he has gifts and skills and abilities that I am sincerely envious of. He has the ability to speak off the cuff, like I just said, he would do so much better at this conversation, and he does live streams like this, but he does it so much better because that's how he's gifted. I'm gifted in the mechanical, woodworking, carpentry kind of deal. And so that's what I want to help impress upon you. So that's the gist of what the live streams will be covering on down the road. We're going to be talking about tools. You see the tool wall. Like I said, there's a video that I've done that just cuts these 45-degree slots in plywood. This is marine plywood or nice birch plywood, heavy grade. But it's also decorative. I went and I bought plywood and I brought it home, and my wife said, no, that is not going to be the wall in my garage. That is not going to be the backdrop for your YouTube channel. You need to go back and spend the money. I told you I'm cheap. You need to go back, spend the money on some nice wood. So I went back and I bought the decorative. This is a wood called sand. So if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, they'll have sand plywood. That's sand with an E. And that's the type of wood that it is. And it is finished on both sides. So it really I think it makes it pop. But anyway, you see my tool wall. I like to have the tool's handy. So if I need a corded drill, it's just right there. If I need a cordless drill, are you timing me? It's just right there. No, that's an impact gun, but the drill's right there. And it's helpful that I can just stand here and knock it out because I got all the tools handy. One of the things that you probably want to do is you want to tackle your garage organization or your shop organization so that you know where things are. I've got a friend of mine, he knows where it is. It's just in a pile there in the shop. And I'm like, I go over and I do stuff around the house, around his house. And I'm looking for a 1/2-inch socket, 3/8 drive. And well, it's out there. It's a pile of sockets and a pile of wrenches. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to spend. Whereas here, we step out of the shot real quickly. Were you timing me? How long it took me to find my sockets? So as a result, it's helpful to know where your tools are when you need them. So we'll talk about shop organization. We'll also talk about shop safety. Look at that, all 10. And I've been working around power tools since I was 7 years old. Now, it was a drill at that stage. It wasn't a circular saw. I wouldn't use a circular saw, but I did use a drill at 7 years old, helping finish the basement there. So let's see. No Audacity training. I've not been live before. This is the very first live stream that Field Guide to DIY has ever done. But we're trying something new. We're trying to build some community as well as answer questions on the spot. I want to get back to why I started this channel initially. Now, my buddy Kevin, who's in the stream here, in the chat, for a year and a half, he hounded me. He encouraged me to start. He said, Eddie, you know all this stuff. You need to start a channel. I said, there's guys out there doing it. I can't compete with them. I don't want to, they're doing it already. What would I bring to the table? So my wife went and bought some bar stools for the house. Well, I sat down in the bar stool and I'm a foot propper. So I've propped my foot on the ring of the bar stool. And this was a cheap imported bar stool from another country. And as soon as I put my foot on it, that weld broke. And that ring that sits on the four legs of the bar stool came off completely. It just, all four of those welds broke off at once. and they were just like tack weld, spot welded. And I'm like, oh goodness, I got to repair that because we had company coming that weekend. I said, well, my father-in-law, Jim, has talked to me about JB Weld. He's used JB Weld. Excuse me. Let me just go to Walmart and pick up some JB Weld. So I go to Walmart and I go to the adhesive section and I break out the phone and I don't know how to use it. And so I started scrolling through the videos on how to use JB Weld. 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Hey, welcome to my channel. Be sure to quick like and subscribe. Hey, this is my dog Duke. Hey, Duke, go lay down. Just get to and I'm standing there in the aisle of the adhesives, learning how to use JB Weld on these long videos. I'm like, this should not take this long. This should not take this long to learn how to use JB Weld. And so I got home. I took out my phone. And I don't know if I had a stand or my wife held the camera for me for that first video, but I repaired the bar stool using JB Weld. I showed how to mix it. It was like 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That video is still up, how to use JB Weld, and has over 500,000 views. So I thought, okay, instant need. So it's like, I guess we'll do YouTube video now. And since then, I've just, what my videos have tended to be are just project to project to project. Sometimes we'll do tool stuff. Sometimes we'll do home repair, home improvement, or how to, but a lot of it is just you tagging along on a project that I'm working on, whether it be cleaning out the gutters. And I'm always trying to think of a better way, a safer way, a quicker way, an easier way. So there's a video that I did after I showed you how to clean out your gutters from a ladder. I said, how can you clean out your gutters when you're on the ground? And so I found that there's this shepherd's crook hook kind of attachment that you can put on your pressure washer. And so with an extension wand on my pressure washer, I just stand on the ground or on the deck and I spray out the gutter. So I'm like, goodness, I got to share this. I got to share this. So everything I do, I film. Now, let me take a second to talk to you about filming. Even if you don't have a YouTube channel, I see Audacity trainings in the house. You got a YouTube channel. But even if you're watching this after the fact and you don't have a YouTube channel, you have a phone and chances are it has a camera. Bust it out. Use your camera on your phone, even if you're not going to upload this. Why? Why would I do this, Eddie? I don't have a YouTube channel. Because you never know when you're going to be faced with something that you need to go back. You just cannot remember. Let's say you have a string trimmer and it doesn't work properly. And so you need to break it. You need to break it down and put it back in the box and take it back to the store to exchange it for one that works or a better one. Well, if you had shot the unboxing and the assembly, you would then know how to break it down and put it back in the box to take it back to the store. Because a lot of times if you just hand them the box and the tool, they won't take that. Another case in point, if you're doing a repair, particularly like an engine repair, or if you're doing your own brake job, you've never done a brake job before, it would be great if you could have that video to show how the brakes went back together after you replace the pads and get the caliper back on there, caliper housing. This is because a lot of times I'm like, how did this go? Where does this? I have an extra bolt. I should not have an extra bolt on the brake job. You never want to have an extra bolt on a brake job. So I'm like, where did this come from? Let's go back to the videotape. And you can scroll and you're like, oh. And sure enough, I'll crawl under there and there's an empty hole. Okay, that's where it went. Okay, tighten that up, torque that up. We're good. So thank you, Audacity Training. It's just so helpful. And now, a lot of times I use the light on as well as when I'm underneath the front end of the car. So get the video that way. And this is a helpful device just to have on you, whether you have a YouTube channel or not. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself, talk to you about that. And if you have any questions or recommendations, suggestions on what we should cover here, or if you maybe got a project coming up that, hey, I'm going to pressure wash my front steps. What do you recommend? Do you recommend suds? Do you recommend this 30-second pressure wash cleaner? So things like that we'll be covering, and also try and talk you out of doing it yourself from time to time as well. Well, we're thinking about putting on a new addition. There's no roof there yet, but we're thinking about, have you ever done any roof or truss work yet? No, but it looks pretty easy. So we'll have those conversations as well. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you next week.